Good morning, it's Mr. Willie in West Virginia. It's July the 13th and it's a Friday. Yay! One of my favorite days, Friday the 13th. I was actually born on a Friday the 13th. I got a scripture I wanted to share with you and a little, I don't know, little talking. And I'll tell you why. All right, yesterday I ran into a fella I hadn't seen in a long time. He grew up with my son. He was one of my son's best friends, and love the guy, still love the guy. He's older now, has a family, very responsible, has grown up to be a fine young man, and really had no excuse to be. Had not a really great family life, didn't live in the best neighborhood here in Clarksburg, and just somehow pressed through all that to become a fine young man, in my opinion. Okay, I don't know him deep down in his heart. You know, I know he goes to church. I know he raises his family. He seems to be responsible, and he's a great guy. But while we were talking, he kept staring at me, and I kept trying to figure out what he was looking at. And finally, he looked at me. He goes, "You haven't changed." And you know, for any of us, male or female, when you start to get to a certain age, and people look at you and still see that younger person, you feel good. I mean, it's not. I'm not going to tell you. I'm not going to lie and say, "Well, I didn't agree with him" or whatever. I mean, it was nice to hear that, and I hear it a lot. I've tried to take good care of myself, but quite honestly, I think there's something in the Owens genes that keeps us looking pretty young, and it's just a blessing. My dad is a great-looking guy. You know, and I'm not saying I'm a great-looking guy, but I mean, I probably don't look 63, and that's cool. But as I begin to think about it, I went to the jacuzzi this morning, sitting in the hot tub, and I was thinking about that statement, "You haven't changed." And I thought, you know, on the outside, what he was looking at was the outside, the outer man. And, you know, Scripture says the outer man decayeth, but the inner man grows stronger day by day. And I'm the type of person that knows that inside I have changed. And I want to share a scripture with you out of Romans. There's a scripture that I shared with our church many years ago, or you know, maybe a couple years ago, to kind of share with them what we need to do, and it's what I've done. It's not just something I'm reading to you; it's something that I've actually allowed God to do. It says, "I beseech you, therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable unto God, which is your reasonable service. And be not conformed to this world, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your minds, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God." I may share more of this later on in the afternoon because it's got some other good stuff in it. But what I did and began to do, and what God actually started about 4 years ago, was He began to transform the inward Willie. In order for Him to do that, I had to cooperate. I had to say, you know what, God, I've screwed up enough. I'm done trying to figure this thing out. I'm done kind of holding your hand sometimes and letting go of it sometimes. I'm ready for you to just take over and transform my being. And He did that. And in doing that, He changed Willie. He took away a lot of fear. He took away a lot of heartache. He took away my need to control things. He took away my need to try and figure out what people were up to. You know, you can become very suspicious when you've been hurt over and over and over again. And He's taken away that and caused me to trust again and to love again and to care again. And it's really funny, but you know, you begin to look at people differently when God transforms you on the inside. You begin to not judge people. You begin to realize that everybody has a story, that everybody has had their struggles, that everybody has sin, that everybody has triumph, that everybody has demons that they're trying to fight off every day. And at the same time, they have these things that are going on that's so incredibly beautiful in God that you just want to hug them and say, "Well done. Way to go." You know, I told you in other videos that I've been reading A.W. Tozer, and you know, you only can read like maybe actually a couple sentences of A.W. Tozer a day, because he just, his words and the godliness just smash you sometimes, because you think, I am nowhere even close to being the man of God I need to be. And read a quote by Booth, the guy that started the Salvation Army, and it just kind of like smashed me yesterday. I thought, man, I'm nowhere close. I'm not even, been walking this thing out for 40 years, and it seems like in comparison to what some of these other men of God had going on, nowhere close to serving God in the way that I think would be something to where he would look at me and go, well done, thou good and faithful servant. And it's, it gives you something to shoot for, but at the same time, I have to look and realize that I have changed in the last 40 years. I have changed in the last 4 years. And I am changing on a consistent basis now. And it's all God. And I'm grateful for what he's done. What do you think of my shirt? My daughter, Honey, well, this came in the mail yesterday, man. I just love this shirt. I wanted to show it off this morning. Thank you, Honey. You're a sweetheart. Well, that's it for this morning. I'll have another word for you this afternoon. Hopefully, I got a busy day, another busy day. I've got to run my granddaughter to a job interview and got grass to cut and life to live. This is the life of a retired person. You're busy all the time because people